Hey everyone, welcome to Cutting Through the Noise. Today we're going to talk about business development. It's one of the 19 traction channels that we've been rolling through, and it's Michelle and Kassi.
Hello.
Cool. So
I guess maybe I'll just go ahead and kick it off, Kassi. So I guess for our listeners, can you maybe just give us a brief overview of what exactly business development is?
Yeah, good question. A lot of people, I think, get it confused with sales just in general, which is understandable. But what we have been using as business development, or running definition, I guess, is exchange of value through partnerships. So not necessarily sales, because you're not exchanging money for a product or a service, but you're exchanging some sort of value in a partnership that helps you ultimately gain more customers or different customers.
Nice. Okay, so maybe...
Anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe, like you said, it's not really focused on sales necessarily with products, but maybe it's a different metric that you're trying to achieve. So and expanding your audience, reaching new customers, maybe just overall awareness.
Yeah, in the end, you probably want it to equal sales, eventually, but at the beginning, it's more about working with another business to, increase awareness or all the things you just said. Cool. What are some different types of partnerships or ways that you can achieve business development?
Yeah. So in the Traction Channel book that we've been following through, they kind of list a couple different examples that you can look into. Typically, when people first think of business development and don't think of sales, there's something just known as the standard partnership. And so that's essentially just two companies that form a partnership together that either benefits one or both existing products. So one example that might be relevant to both of us would be the Apple and Nike partnership. They have the Nike Plus, which is, essentially technology of your shoe is connected to your Apple products. So you can kind of get better measurements of like your own health and everything. So that's kind of one example of a standard partnership.
Right. They're both benefiting. Maybe some Nike customers who weren't Apple customers then became Apple customers and vice versa. So
exactly. So it's mutually benefiting.
Yeah.
Which is the goal. And then a couple other big known ones there's the joint ventures, and that's essentially where two companies partner up together to create a new product. So it's not really improving an existing product. It's actually a brand new one. And so I'm trying to think off the top of my head an example of that. I might have to come back to that.
That's okay.
And then the next one is licensing. And so that's where a company gets approval from another brand to maybe like use their brand incorporate it within their own existing product. And so when you think of maybe, for example, Starbucks, maybe an ice cream company wants to use a Starbucks branded flavor or a mocha or something like that, and incorporate that into an ice cream flavor. And so that would be an example of them getting approval and partnering with Starbucks in order to sell a Starbucks branded ice cream. So those are the ones that kind of like really stand out to me. Is there any examples that you can maybe think of?
I just Googled the joint venture really quick to find an example. And the one that it gives us here is Starbucks, again, working with Pepsi. So the double shot espresso or the Starbucks Frappuccino. I think that Starbucks kind of got the upper hand on those ones still, but either way, they came together to create those products, when they couldn't maybe do it on their own.
Yeah, and that's actually that's a good example to talk about too, because with that kind of a joint venture creating those products, like you wouldn't assume that Pepsi is a part of that, but it falls under their umbrella.
Right.
And so maybe that took years in the making to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Some other examples of partnerships that worked out really well for one or both of the people is when Google was just starting out and they needed to get in front of some users, and so they partnered with Netscape to become sort of their, normal search engine. So when someone types something in Netscape, if you've ever used that before, then it would search Google at the very beginning. Michelle and I were kind of laughing earlier because it sounds like Google kind of got big when Netscape didn't. But hey, that's okay.
Yeah, which one's still sitting today?
Yeah. I think that those are the main partnerships that I can think of. I mean, there are so many, like,
right.
I don't know, just so many.
Yeah. And so I guess like taking a step back, I guess maybe we could talk a little bit about, best tips or practices for that kind of stuff. I guess, I know just shallowly looking into this that you really should take a moment to, when you're evaluating a partnership with another company for maybe it's for your company or startup, any of that kind of stuff, really take a moment to research the person that you're, interested in maybe partnering with, and kind of put yourself in their shoes and evaluate what kind of incentives or what will they get out of this. Like, it's easy for us to, write down the things that we'll benefit from, but how are you going to make this an enticing deal for someone else?
Yeah, and I would say on that same note, a lot of people immediately think, oh, I need to partner with Apple, or I need to partner with these huge companies.
Right.
And I think that it's all right to look smaller in some areas that are, businesses that are similar to you, or not really similar, but kind of on the same level, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Or even, a little higher, or even a little bit lower than you, maybe less customers. But if that's the type of people that you really want to reach, then it might be worth it. So it's not always, partnering with a multi-billion-dollar company.
If the opportunity arises, though.
Right. I mean, yeah. But it's not like that's the only way that this can be a successful traction channel.
Maybe take a step back and not make it a question of, oh, I want to, or not a question, but make it a point that you want to partner with this particular brand just because people know them. But again, aligning with somebody that's more in your industry, or something, again, that maybe it's a common goal that that you both might have, and this is a way to benefit both.
Right.
So. And
something that I keep thinking of, is that this can kind of seem like an intimidating traction channel because it involves working with another company. You have to maybe give something up of your own in order to get something from them, whatever that might look like. And I just keep thinking about those little Facebook drawings that people do where they're like, follow me and this other company, like a clothing store and a gym that are in your local town. Like, they'll say, follow both of us, and then you can get a gift card to both places, or, and then that way the people from the gym's Instagram see the people from the store and vice versa. And it's way more effective than just doing your own giveaway, So there's small ways that don't include creating whole new products and working with people for years and years and, that kind of thing. So I think that it also just shows involvement maybe in your community, if you are a small town business or just a small business in general. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about.
Yeah. Well, I guess actually, so spinning off of that, Kassi, I know you personally have been working on quite a few businesses locally. Obviously, you work with us, but you have some cool other side projects that you help work with. But so I know Peak Retreats is kind of one of your big ones, too.
Yeah.
Have you tried any of these business development partnerships
or
any of that?
So Peak Retreats, if you haven't heard me talk about it before on the podcast, is multi-channel network for women who are entrepreneurs and leaders in the business world. And, we bring them together for retreats. That's our main service. And so in those retreats, we try to make them nice and balanced, like going over business things, but also personal and fitness and mental health and all of these different aspects of a person. And so recently we were able to start discussions with a local fitness instructor. So not only would she be able to provide value to our clients or the people who join our retreats, but she will also gain, a larger audience from participating in these retreats with, women that are serious about, taking care of their body or making it to the next level in their lives.
Yeah.
So that's kind of mutually beneficial. Another little business that I work on is crepe cuisine, and so we sell French crepes.
Yum.
And for a while, we would partner with a local nut butter in town. So for them, people were able to try their nut butters, and if they love them, they could go buy more. And then for us, people love eating local products here in Missoula, and so being able to tell them that this nut butter was made locally increased our sales in some ways. So
nice.
Yeah.
No, those are great examples. I mean, yeah, you're just very involved in the community. It's awesome to hear about that. I guess, and then following off of that, did you find for either one of those ventures it was difficult to approach these companies about partnerships, or I guess what was your process in trying to make this happen? Yeah,
so for the one with Peak Retreats with the fitness instructor, she actually approached us, which was really neat. She knew that that was a piece of our retreat and that, we might be looking for someone who has those skills because I'm probably not going to teach that part of the retreat. And then for the other one, I I think it was just kind of mutual friendships. We had similar mentors, and they just kind of brought us together, saying you guys could benefit each other and, make a small partnership to do this. And she's got the nut butter. It's called Moxie Nosh. If you are on the internet, go look it up right now because it's really delicious. She, now partners with a lot of different small businesses in town who use nut butters. So I think that was kind of a way for her to experiment with what that looked like.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's, that'd be a standard partnership. Mm-hmm. You're benefiting and improving an existing product.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah. So I think that those are my two main examples.
Yeah, I like it. That's good.
So Michelle, we were also talking about, I think we sort of started to dive into it, some different tips for making these types of partnerships or diving into business development. And they kind of talk about how there's a pipeline that you need to follow in order to have successful partnerships or connections in this way. And so the first tip that they give us is to create a really, really long list. And I think that that's where, the big companies, I don't know, if your dream is to partner with Apple, like put them on the list, and find all, from the big to the small, from every industry that you think might be beneficial to you and vice versa. Make a list of just as many possible partnerships as you can think of. And then from there, it's important to sort of scope them out and actually think, like, what value could they bring you and what value could you in turn bring them? Because like we mentioned earlier, I think no one's going to partner with you if it's only good for you, right? So so then once you're able to kind of scope it out and sort of rank these potential partnerships and connections, then you want to choose, they said 10 to 20, but I think that sounds really high. If you're a small business, your big list might be 10 to 20.
Oh, and it's funny too because the book mentioned like 50 to 100.
Right,
in your
yeah,
pipeline.
Exactly. So I would say like choose, I think 10 maybe is like a good number that you actually want to pursue, because you have to assume that they're not all going to actually work out, especially if you're like holding strong to what you need out of the partnerships.
Yep.
And some people just aren't interested in using this traction channel, so you might get turned down because of that. So once you choose those 10 to 20, kind of start to develop what the value is that you would be providing to them and vice versa, and make it very clear. Write it out, whether you have a presentation or whatever that might look like. Just make sure that you actually know what you're asking for and what you're proposing to give them also. And then before you go and talk to the company, you want to make sure that you know the right contact at that company. If you, are trying to, work with product development, like it might not be the best to talk to someone in marketing. I mean, they might be able to give you the right contact, but the more streamlined that you can make it, I think the better.
I mean, that's just best practices with any interactions you have with other companies.
Yeah.
Make sure you're getting to the right person and
not wasting a bunch of people's time and however that goes. And then I guess just give them your value and be ready to talk about ways that you could work together. Have an open mind, because, if they want something out of it, then you can, go back and forth a little bit and see how it goes. So those are kind of the main, that's like the main pipeline tips that I've got.
Yeah, no, that's great.
What do you think?
Great. I think you covered the steps that you really need to do when you want to get started on this.
Cool. Well, I think that is a good overview of business development. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really have too much to add.
Okay, cool. Well, we also have a video and a blog article